Chairman Cole.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to go back to something I mentioned in my opening statement, Secretary Phelan. Could you tell us whether or not that we're looking at restructuring the Takamo mission and whether or not we're looking at offloading some of those functions that it currently provides to the Air Force?
Thank you for the question, Chairman. I think I'm going to let Admiral Kilby answer that, but let me just give you my thoughts. Look, the investments in both the E-6B and its replacement, the E-130, are critical to nuclear modernization. I'm committed to improving that. It is a critical part, and then I'll let Admiral Kilby comment on your specific question.
Yes, sir. So as Secretary Phelan said, the E-6, which you now know so much about, has served us well. We need to make sure that aircraft gets through its service life and is replaced by its replacement. There is another mission assigned to that aircraft now, the ABNCAP mission, and that is the mission that needs a platform or a home, because the EC-130 just does not have the room in it that the E-6 does to perform both those missions. But most important, and I agree with Secretary Phelan, we must stay on track for the Takamo replacement program. We've gotten more than our money's worth out of the E-6s. We've had this empennage problem, and we're repairing those aircraft to make sure they're safe to fly, to provide continuity of NC3. But I'm committed to the Takamo replacement program and staying on budget and on delivery for that so we can do what we do for the nation.
And again, just to not be redundant, but to be specific, are we talking about any of that mission moving to the Air Force, or are we talking about keeping it within the Navy?
That's a discussion still at the Department of Defense. The part I specifically talked about, though, was it will not go into the EC-130 replacement because there's just no room for the kit for that aircraft. So there's a limitation to what the 130 can do, and it's a performance gain for us, we think, in the execution of NC3. So we'll have to figure out, as a department, the Department of Defense, what happens to that initial mission, and it may not be an aircraft. It might be another means to provide that secure comms.
Well, I would ask you to keep us apprised of that. And I will tell you, since I've got a lot of E6s based out of my district and E3s that are all being retired from the Air Force, where we're having to scramble to find replacements, I'm not sure the Air Force would have the capacity to do some of the things you need to do. So, again, I would very much like to know when and if that decision's made. Let me ask you two quickly, if I may, and I put this to all of you, and Chairman Calvert raised it. I'm very concerned about where we're at in terms of munitions, in terms of what's available, what you need, what we would have if, God forbid, we were in a short-term conflict. It would be short-term because we don't have enough munitions to sustain a long-term fight. So where are we at in procurement and stockpiling of the munitions, particularly precision strike types of munitions that you think you would need in a conflict with a near-peer power?
Sure, I'll take that one just for the Navy. We are investing in the munitions we need, particularly to be ready to, if we need to go to war with China. Those are precision-guided, long-range munitions like Tomahawk, Maritime Strike Tomahawk, LRASM, SM-6, SM-2, ARGM, AIM-9X, AIM-120, and the heavyweight torpedo. So all those munitions we need to increase production on. I'm also of the mind that we need to look at other vendors, and they may not be able to produce the same exact specification, but they might be able to produce a missile that's effective, which is more effective than no missile. So I think we've got to open our aperture a little bit, but those munitions that I listed, we need to increase production. And we've done so with things like the SM-6, which used to have 125 rounds a year. We're ramping up to 300 rounds a year. We've restarted our Mark 48 line. That's our premier torpedo. We stopped doing torpedoes in 1996 and now have just reconstituted that line and are going to deliver 10 a month. So that's 120 a year. That's a step in the right direction. But we need to stop looking, like I have, at the minimum sustaining rate and look at what we need for protraction. I think it's foolish to think that we're going to be in a short, sharp war. If we go to war with China, this is going to be a big deal, and it's going to be bloody, and there's going to be casualties, and it's going to take time and munitions. So our stocks need to be full.
Well, again, I would ask you to keep us informed on that and what we can do to accelerate that process, because I think we're all very, very concerned. And I'm glad to hear you're looking at alternatives, because I think you're exactly right. I'm not sure the capacity exists in the traditional munitions that we have to do it in a short-term and speedy fashion. Last question, if I could get to you quickly, General Smith. I just curious your assessment where we're at on Force Design 2030. How are things going? Are you on schedule?
Well, sir, thanks for that question. Sir, we are on schedule. I'm committed to force design, balanced against our crisis response and readiness missions. We're investing in key capabilities such as unmanned systems, long-range precision fires, which you addressed, air defenses, counter small UAS. We're enabling modernization while retaining our capability for competition and crisis response, which is our nom de guerre. It preserves the capability of the Marine Expeditionary Unit. Based on combat operational employments, the COCOMs have asked us to accelerate some of our capabilities, such as the MQ-9, our big-wing drone. Pair that with MATIS, our Marine Air Defense System, and an MRIC, a medium-range intercept capability, and we are well on our way to realizing the value of force design as a stand-in force to enable us to deter the PRC from, I won't say breaking out, but breaking out, and if they do, to punish them for it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to recognize the ranking